The Art of Reading Minds by Henrik Fexeus. What if I told you that you could read someone's mind without them ever saying a word? Not by magic, not by manipulation, but through simple, powerful techniques backed by science, by psychology, by understanding how human beings really communicate. Because the truth is, we're all transmitting information every second of every day. Most people just don't know how to receive it. Think about this. You're in a meeting and your boss says, "This looks great," but something feels off. His smile is tight, his eyes are scanning the table, and his foot keeps tapping under the chair. He didn't say it out loud, but you know he's not convinced. You just read it. Or picture this. You're on a date. The person across from you leans in slightly, mirrors your movements, and their pupils dilate just a bit when you speak. They haven't said a word about how they feel, but their body already has. Now imagine being able to recognize discomfort before it becomes conflict, or telling when someone is lying, even if their words are perfect, or sensing tension in a conversation before anyone even raises their voice. This isn't guesswork, it's a learnable skill. And one man has dedicated his career to teaching it. Henrik Fexeus, international best-selling author, psychological illusionist, and a world-renowned expert in nonverbal communication and mental influence. His book, The Art of Reading Minds, has sold over 1 million copies worldwide, and it's changed the way people understand human behavior. But here's the key thing. Henrik doesn't teach you how to manipulate or control people. He teaches you how to see them, to understand them, to notice what they're really saying, even when their mouths are silent. Most of us walk through life blind to the signs others are showing us every single minute. We focus on the words, but not the meaning behind them. We miss the micro-expressions, we miss the tension in someone's shoulders, the change in their breathing, the glance to the exit. We miss what matters most. But today, that changes. In this video, you're going to learn how to decode body language with precision. You'll discover how to tell if someone is lying, not by what they say, but by what they can't hide. You'll understand how to influence people in powerful, ethical ways without speaking a word. And most importantly, you'll start to see the world in a completely new way, because people are constantly broadcasting who they are, what they feel, and what they want. You just haven't been trained to listen, until now. By the end of this video, you won't just hear people, you'll read them. Welcome to the Art of Reading Minds. Let's begin. Part 1. Understanding the mind without words. Most people think reading minds means having some kind of psychic ability, that you'd be able to guess what number someone is thinking of, or know exactly what words are going to come out of their mouth next. But that's not what Henrik Fexeus means, not at all. According to Henrik, mind reading isn't about decoding secret thoughts. It's about recognizing visible emotions. It's about seeing the truth people are showing you all the time, even if they don't realize it themselves. Because here's the reality. Human beings leak their inner worlds, constantly. And they do it through subtle, often unconscious signals, changes in posture, small shifts in tone, flickers in the eyes, tiny gestures that tell you what they're really feeling. Reading minds is about reading behavior, not telepathy. And when you master this, your relationships, your work, your decision-making, and your understanding of people will transform. Let's start with one of the biggest truths about human communication, the iceberg theory of communication. Think of an iceberg floating in the ocean. The small tip you see above the surface, that's verbal communication, the words we speak. The massive structure below the water, the part most people don't see, that's nonverbal communication. That's where the real message lives. Henrik Fexeus teaches that around 90% of what we communicate is nonverbal. That means every time you speak to someone or listen, you're actually missing the majority of the message if you focus only on words. Tone of voice, eye contact, micro movements, breathing rhythm, pupil dilation, posture shifts, even silence. All of these are channels. All of these are messages, and they often contradict the words being said. So if you've ever felt confused after a conversation, like something didn't add up, you were probably right. You just didn't know how to decode the rest of the iceberg. Let's break this down further. The 3 essential channels of human communication. To understand how to read people deeply and accurately, You must tune in to the three main channels of nonverbal communication. 1. Body language. This includes posture, gestures, hand movements, how someone walks or stands, how close they get to others, and what direction their body faces. The body is honest. When someone's nervous, they don't just say it. You'll see it in their feet, their fidgeting, their hands protecting vulnerable areas. 2. Facial expressions. The face is the most expressive part of the human body, even when we try to hide what we're feeling. There are 7 universal facial expressions tied to specific emotions: anger, sadness, happiness, fear, surprise, disgust, and contempt. We might smile to cover up fear, but the eyebrows might still twitch. The corners of the mouth might not rise genuinely. And all of this can happen in a split second. 3. Tone of voice. How someone says something is often more important than what they say. Is the voice trembling? Are the pauses too long? Is there forced enthusiasm? Is the pitch rising at the end of statements like they're unsure? The tone carries emotion, and emotion reveals truth. Now here's the key. These 3 channels always communicate something. Even if someone is silent, their presence is not. Why most people get it wrong. So if all of this is constantly happening around us, why do so many people miss it? Because they do 2 things wrong. 1, they rely solely on spoken words. We are conditioned to believe people's words. We've been trained from childhood to listen when someone speaks, and that's important, but it's incomplete. Words can lie. Bodies rarely do. 2, they ignore context. You can't look at one isolated signal and jump to a conclusion. If someone crosses their arms, that doesn't mean they're closed off. It might just be cold. If they avoid eye contact, maybe they're shy, not deceptive. Without context, you misread. And this is why Henrik introduces one of the most important tools in mind reading: baseline behavior. Every person has a default state, how they normally behave when calm, unthreatened, and unstressed. Some people fidget all the time. Some avoid eye contact naturally. Some talk with their hands, some never do. That's their baseline. To truly read someone, you must first observe their baseline, then watch for deviations from that. If someone is normally relaxed and suddenly stiffens when a specific topic comes up, that shift means something. If someone always maintains eye contact but suddenly starts looking away, you have a signal. If someone typically speaks slowly but suddenly starts rushing through their words, there's emotion behind that. The change is where the message lives. The deviation is the flag. Baseline is your comparison point. Without it, you're just guessing. And this is why Henrik Fexeus emphasizes observation as the foundational skill. You cannot read minds unless you first learn to observe with calm, focused attention. And that brings us to your first real-world exercise. Practical exercise, the 48-hour observation challenge. Here's how you begin developing your inner mind reader. Choose a friend, roommate, colleague, or family member, anyone you see often. For the next 2 days, your goal is simple. Watch them quietly, neutrally, just observe. Notice how they walk, how they sit, how they gesture when they talk, how they respond when they're relaxed. Look at their resting facial expression. Notice how they hold their shoulders, where they look when they think, how fast they speak when telling stories. This is their baseline. Now wait for a moment when they're under pressure, maybe during a disagreement, a tough conversation, or when they get some unexpected news. Compare the behavior. Are they blinking more? Are their hands suddenly hidden? Is their tone sharper or flatter? Are they quieter or louder? You don't need to say anything, just notice. Journal your findings at the end of each day. You'll be shocked how much information is available when you stop speaking and start observing. This is the foundation of reading minds. Not guessing, not assuming, but learning to detect what people are already telling you through their behavior. And the more you do this, the better you'll get. Over time, you'll start spotting signs of anxiety before someone mentions it. You'll sense when someone's lying without needing proof. You'll feel when something's off because your brain is tuned to the patterns. And soon, you won't just be talking with people, you'll be reading them. Part 2, The power of observation. Observation is a superpower, but like all powers, it must be trained. You weren't born knowing how to spot a lie from a twitch of the eyebrow. You didn't instinctively know that a shift in foot position can reveal discomfort, but the ability is there. It just needs to be unlocked. Most people miss 90% of body signals in everyday life. They miss the signals in the sigh before someone says, "I'm fine." They miss the slight lean away when someone feels disrespected. They miss the microsecond delay before someone says yes when they mean no. And because of that, they miss the truth. But after this section, you won't. Let's start training your mind to see what others miss. The full body scan, how to truly see someone. When Henrik Fexeus teaches people to read nonverbal cues, he starts with a simple but powerful tool, the full body scan. Here's how it works. When you observe someone, you're not just looking at their face, you're scanning them from head to toe. Every part of their body is part of the message. Let's break it down. 1. The head and face. Look at the eyes. Are they holding eye contact or avoiding it? Are the eyebrows relaxed, furrowed, or lifted in surprise or suspicion? What's happening with the mouth? A tight smile? A real smile? Are the lips slightly parted, pursed, or drawn in? Most emotions, fear, anger, sadness, happiness, start here, but they flash quickly. Learn to notice the microexpressions. These are facial movements that last less than half a second, but they always reflect genuine emotion. 2. The posture. Are they upright and open, or slouched and guarded? Are they leaning in, or leaning away? The spine, shoulders, and neck are key indicators of comfort or tension. 3. The arms and hands. Are the arms crossed? That might signal defensiveness, but not always. Are the hands visible or hidden? Are they clenching, fidgeting, or relaxed? What direction are the palms facing? Open palms signal openness. Closed fists might signal frustration or fear. The legs and feet. Yes, the feet. One of the most honest parts of the body. Are the feet pointing toward you or toward the door? Are the legs bouncing nervously? Are they crossed protectively or planted firmly? The lower body often reveals what the upper body is trying to hide. Now here's the question you ask as you observe. What is this person trying to hide or emphasize? The human body will often try to conceal discomfort, but ends up betraying it. Other times, someone will amplify movements, gesturing more, leaning in, raising their voice to persuade or impress. Learn to scan. Learn to see. Open versus closed body language. It's not what you think. One of the most common mistakes people make is assuming that crossed arms mean defensiveness, or that someone who looks away is always lying, or that folded legs means someone isn't interested. That's lazy observation. According to Henrik Fexeus, no single gesture ever tells the whole story. Instead, you must look for clusters, multiple signals that occur together and reinforce the same message. Here's how you decode clusters. Crossed arms plus a tight jaw plus leaning away equals possible defensiveness or rejection. Crossed arms with a relaxed posture and a smile. Maybe they're just cold or comfortable that way. Looking away plus touching the neck and shifting feet equals possible anxiety or deceit. The body speaks in patterns, not in isolated words. So don't just look for one sign. Look for groups of signs that point in the same direction. When 3 or more signals line up, you've likely found emotional truth. Mirroring, the hidden language of connection. Now let's talk about a fascinating phenomenon. Mirroring. Have you ever noticed that when two people get along really well, they start to match each other's body language? They lean in together. They cross their legs the same way. Their speech tempo starts syncing. They laugh at the same rhythm. That's not a coincidence. Mirroring is a subconscious sign of rapport. When someone likes or agrees with you, they often begin to unconsciously mirror your posture, your tone, even your breathing. You can use this to your advantage in 2 ways. 1, to read connection. If someone starts matching your gestures, that's a strong sign they feel aligned with you. They trust you. They want to connect. 2, to build connection. You can subtly mirror someone's posture or tone to build rapport. Don't mimic them like a robot, but gently match their energy, their rhythm, their pace. This signals safety, familiarity. People trust those who feel like them. But remember, mirroring must be natural. If it feels forced, it backfires. Mini exercise, the mute test. Here's how you start sharpening your observation muscle right now. Find a video of two people talking, an interview, a movie scene, or even a reality show clip. Mute the audio. Now watch for 2 minutes. No sound, just body language. Your task, write down what you think the emotional tone is. Who seems dominant? Who seems nervous? Who's open? Who's closed off? Are they in sync or in conflict? Is there agreement, tension, attraction, or disinterest? Then turn the sound back on. See how close you were. You'll be surprised. Often the body reveals more than the words ever do. Real-life applications. How observation changes everything. Now let's bring this home. Once you develop the habit of scanning, clustering, and observing people deeply, how does your life actually change? First, in dating. Imagine going on a first date and instantly sensing how someone feels. Not based on what they say, but how they respond. Do they lean in when you speak, mirror your laugh, maintain soft eye contact? Or do they turn slightly away, offer tight smiles, keep their body angled toward the exit? You'll stop guessing how it went. You'll know. 2. In job interviews. When you're in a high-stakes interview, reading the room is everything. You'll spot the moment an answer lands well, because the interviewer leans forward and nods. You'll sense discomfort when they freeze their face or pull back slightly, and you'll adjust, live in real time. This gives you a critical edge. 3. In negotiations. Whether you're closing a business deal or asking for a raise, people don't always say what they're really thinking, but they show it. You'll catch the pause before a counteroffer, the narrowing of eyes that signals resistance, the crossed legs and stiff shoulders that say, "I'm not sold yet," and you'll know when to press and when to pivot. 4th, in parenting. Kids don't always have the words to express emotions, but their bodies scream it. You'll see the slouch that means shame, not just tiredness. You'll spot the nervous hand movements that signal anxiety. You'll read sadness, embarrassment, or frustration, even when they say nothing's wrong. Observation helps you meet your children not just with discipline, but with understanding. Final thought, observation makes you powerful, but also compassionate. Henrik Fexeus reminds us of something crucial. This isn't about control. It's not about outsmarting people or turning them into puzzles to be solved. It's about presence, awareness, connection. When you truly observe someone, not just their words, but their being, you understand them on a deeper level. You respond with empathy, not assumptions. You navigate the world more clearly, with fewer misunderstandings and more meaningful relationships. And it all begins with observation, noticing, scanning, connecting the dots others miss. That's your power now. You're not just watching people, you're reading them, and you're only just getting started. Part 3. Decoding facial expressions and micro cues. Have you ever looked someone in the face and felt something was off? Even though their words said everything was fine, that feeling was real. Because while their mouth was saying, "I'm okay," their face was telling a very different story. The truth is, faces leak emotion constantly, and most people walk through life never noticing the storm of hidden feelings flashing across the faces around them. But once you learn to read them, you'll never see people the same way again. Let's dive into one of the most powerful chapters of Henrik Fexeus, The Art of Reading Minds, how to decode facial expressions and the micro cues that reveal the emotions behind the mask. The face never lies for long. Our faces are emotional billboards. Even when we try to hide what we're feeling, our emotions still fight their way out, in flashes, twitches, and shifts. These involuntary expressions are called microexpressions, and they are the key to unlocking what people really feel in real time. Microexpressions last for less than 1 second, some just a quarter of a second. They're nearly impossible to fake, and even harder to suppress. Most people don't notice them, but you will. The 7 universal emotions. According to psychologist Paul Ekman, in Affirmed by Fexeus, there are 7 universal emotions that appear on the human face regardless of culture, age, or background. 1. Happiness. Eyes crinkle, crow's feet. Mouth pulls up symmetrically. Cheeks rise. Note, a fake smile involves only the mouth. A real one reaches the eyes. 2nd, sadness. Drooping upper eyelids. Downturned lips. Brows drawn together slightly. Often a softer, slower expression. Written anger. Eyebrows pulled down and together. Eyes narrow. Lips may press tightly or flare. Nostrils may widen. 4. Fear. Brows raised and pulled together. Eyes wide open. Mouth open or lips stretched. Often looks similar to surprise but more tension. 5. Disgust. Nose wrinkled. Upper lip raised. Eyes may squint slightly. Imagine smelling something rotten. 6. Surprise. Eyebrows raised high. Eyes wide. Mouth open. No tension, just pure reaction. 7. Contempt. One corner of the lip raised, uneven smile. A sideways glance may accompany it. Often very subtle, but unmistakable. These expressions show up in all of us. Even babies. Even people born blind produce the same expressions without ever seeing them. This is nature speaking directly from the brain to the face. Microexpressions, the truth in a flash. Now here's where things get fascinating. Let's say someone's in a meeting. They're told their project has been delayed. They smile and say, "That's fine." But in the instant before the smile, just for half a second, you catch a flicker of anger. Narrowed eyes, tightened lips. That was a microexpression. You just saw the truth before it got covered up. Microexpressions are the emotional slip-ups of the human face. We're not trained to hide them fast enough. They leak before our conscious minds can intervene. And that moment, it's gold. Because if you catch it, you get access to their real feelings, not their rehearsed lines. Real-life examples. Words say one thing, faces say another. Let's walk through some examples. A friend says, "I'm happy for you," but flashes a micro-expression of contempt just before the smile. Now you know jealousy is present even if unspoken. A customer says, "It's no big deal," but you catch the corners of their lips tighten in disgust for a split second. They're upset. They're just masking it. A partner says, "I'm not mad," but their eyes narrow and eyebrows knit together for half a heartbeat. That's anger, denied but real. These subtle flashes are honest. They bypass filters, ego, and social pressure. And once you know how to spot them, your entire understanding of people deepens. Eye contact patterns. The eyes are the window to the truth. Let's talk about eye contact, one of the most misunderstood aspects of facial communication. We've all heard the myth, if someone avoids eye contact, they must be lying. That's false. Avoiding eye contact might indicate nervousness, but not necessarily dishonesty. In fact, skilled liars often maintain strong eye contact to appear more convincing. What matters is not the behavior in isolation. It's the deviation from their baseline. If someone normally looks around while thinking, that's their baseline. But if suddenly they freeze and lock eyes, that's a deviation. If someone usually maintains eye contact, but suddenly starts glancing down or to the side, something changed. Fexeus emphasizes that eye behavior must always be interpreted in context. Watch for sudden changes in eye direction, prolonged blinking or increased blink rate, pupils constricting or dilating, looking up when recalling memory versus fabricating a lie. The eyes don't lie, but you have to know how to read them. Mini exercise, train your eye for micro cues. Let's do a quick training exercise you can try today. Step 1. Go to YouTube and find clips of real interviews, reality shows, or unscripted conversations. Step 2. Mute the video and focus only on the facial expressions. Step 3. Try to spot a micro-expression of contempt, that one-sided smirk, a flash of disgust, wrinkled nose, a sudden tight-lipped anger expression. Step 4. Play it back in slow motion if needed. Pause, rewatch, practice. The more you train your eyes to see, the better your mind gets at understanding what people really feel. This isn't magic. It's observation and repetition. Real-life applications. Where this changes everything. So, how does this ability to read facial expressions and micro cues change your daily life? Let's look at some real scenarios. 1. Customer service. Whether you're the provider or the customer, reading facial expressions helps resolve tension before it explodes. Catch the micro expression of impatience before the complaint. Notice the forced smile that hides frustration. Respond with empathy before the issue escalates. People will feel like you get them, and that changes everything. Second, conflict resolution. In personal or professional conflicts, the face reveals more than the argument. Someone says, "I'm over it," but you spot sadness in their eyes. Now you know the issue isn't resolved emotionally. This gives you a chance to repair, not just react. 3. Dating and emotional support. Imagine understanding your partner's unspoken emotions. You notice the flash of fear before they share bad news. You spot the suppressed joy when you surprise them. You see anxiety even when they say, "I'm okay." And because you see it, you can be there for them in ways most people never are. This builds trust, intimacy, love. Final thought. The face is always speaking. Learn to listen. You now have a new lens. From now on, when you look at someone's face, you'll see more than features. You'll see emotion, conflict, desire, and resistance. You'll notice the cracks in the mask, the unguarded flickers of truth, and when you do, you'll begin to connect with people on a deeper level. Not because you're reading their minds, but because you're reading their emotions, the raw human signals they didn't even know they were sending. The face is always speaking. You just learned how to listen. Part 4. Listening beyond words. Most people think communication is all about what you say, but the truth is, it's not. The words we speak are just the tip of the iceberg. What truly matters is how we say them. Tone, pace, word choice, pauses. These are the places where truth hides. If you want to read minds, you can't just watch. You have to listen beyond the words. Welcome to one of the most underrated human skills, hearing what isn't said. The hidden layer in every voice. Let's begin with this. You ask your friend, "Are you okay?" They reply, "I'm fine." But something about how they said it makes you feel uneasy. Their tone was flat. Their voice barely rose. They paused. Just a second too long. That's the mind speaking through the voice. Henrik Fexeus teaches us that the tone of voice is a direct path to emotion, not the words themselves, but the way they're delivered. Here's what to start listening for. Speed. Are they speaking quickly, as if rushing through discomfort, or slowly trying to choose words carefully? Pitch. A higher pitch can indicate nervousness or stress. Pauses. Hesitations can point to uncertainty, doubt, or emotional conflict. Breathing. Is it shallow? Rapid? Do they sigh before answering? You don't need a lie detector, just better ears. Word choice. The unconscious mirror of the mind. Words are tools, and people reveal more than they realize in how they use them. Pay attention to the difference between "I think" versus "I know," "I guess" versus "I believe," "it's sort of" versus "it is." The first word in each pair expresses uncertainty. The second shows confidence. Fexeus emphasizes that when people are uncertain, deceptive, or emotionally conflicted, they often default to vague, diluted language. Examples. "Maybe we could try something else" might mean, "I'm not comfortable with this." "I guess I'm just tired" often masks something deeper. Stress, sadness, even frustration. The next time you hear someone talk, notice how they frame their statements. Are they committing to what they say or avoiding it? That's not just semantics, it's psychology. Active listening, the superpower most people ignore. Listening is not the same as waiting for your turn to talk. Real listening, what Henrik calls active listening, is a mental shift. You stop focusing on your reply and instead focus entirely on understanding the speaker. You become present, curious, engaged. And when you listen that way, people reveal themselves more than they ever intended. They lower their guard. Their voice softens. They say, "You're the first person who really hears me." And in that moment, you're not just reading minds. You're reaching them. Signals of hesitation and internal conflict. Some of the most valuable emotional signals happen in the gaps between words. Listen for a pause before answering a direct question, a change in speed mid-sentence, a sudden clearing of the throat or cough, repeating the question before answering, "You mean, am I upset?" These are often signs of internal conflict. The person is weighing two realities, the truth and what they're comfortable saying. Example, you ask someone, "Do you trust them?" They say, "Yeah, I think so." Hear that? The pause, the "I mean," and the slight revision of their own answer? That's not certainty, that's self-editing, and it tells you everything. The voice that trembles tells the truth. Let's talk about the crack in the voice. It might happen when someone's scared, sad, or overwhelmed. A sudden break, a trembling syllable, a breath held just too long. People try to hide it, but the voice doesn't lie. Even trained actors struggle to suppress this natural response when emotion overwhelms them. You'll hear it in apologies that matter, confessions held back for too long, moments of vulnerability or fear. When you notice this, don't push. Instead, lean in with empathy. This is where connection begins. Mini practice. Rewatch and rehear. Let's sharpen this skill right now. Step 1. Pick a conversation you recently had, or find a video clip online, a podcast, interview, or casual vlog. Step 2. Close your eyes and listen only to how things were said. No visuals, no distractions. Step 3. Ask yourself, did they hesitate at any point? Were certain phrases softened or uncertain? Was there a moment their voice cracked, rose, or fell suddenly? Step 4. Play it again. This time, try to guess what emotion they were feeling beneath the words. The more you practice, the more accurate you'll become. This is not eavesdropping. This is empathic perception. You're learning to hear people at a deeper level than most ever do. Final word, hear what's not said. Reading minds isn't magic. It's not about guessing thoughts. It's about understanding emotions that live between the lines, behind the eyes and under the surface of every word. When you learn to listen beyond the words, you stop reacting to what people say and start responding to who they are. So the next time someone says, "I'm fine," you'll hear the fear, the sadness, the hesitation, and instead of accepting the mask, you'll see the person behind it. That is the art of reading minds. Part 5. Influence without speaking. Have you ever walked into a room and without saying a word changed the entire mood? Or maybe you've met someone and instantly you like them, but you couldn't explain why. That, my friend, is the power of nonverbal influence. Henrik Fexeus teaches us something remarkable in the art of reading minds. The best influencers rarely speak first. They observe, they align, then they act. Today, you're going to learn how to ethically influence others, not through manipulation, but through powerful presence. Let's unlock the silent language of impact. Influence starts before words begin. Before we speak, we are already communicating. Our posture, gestures, breathing, and gaze all send signals to the people around us. And according to Fexeus, the real influencers understand this and use it consciously. You don't need to be loud, persuasive, or even charismatic. You just need to know how people feel safe and seen. That's where influence begins. Building rapport nonverbally. The first rule of influence: people follow those they trust. So how do you build trust without talking? Let's break down 3 essential tools. 1. Mirroring. This isn't about copying like a robot. It's about subtly aligning your body language with the person in front of you. If they sit back, you sit back. If they use their hands expressively, so do you. If they smile, you smile. Mirroring signals one thing to the subconscious mind: we are the same. And similarity breeds comfort. Comfort creates connection. Connection opens the door to influence. Try this next time you're in a conversation. Don't force it. Just gently follow their tempo, tone, and movements. You'll be amazed at how quickly they relax around you. 2. Pacing and leading. Once you've mirrored someone, you can begin to lead their behavior. Here's how it works. Pacing means matching their current state. Leading means shifting to a new one and watching them follow. Example, you meet someone who's stressed. First, you match their energy, tense, fast-talking. Then slowly, you relax your posture, lower your voice, breathe deeper. If they trust you, they'll start to mirror you back. Congratulations. You've just shifted their state without saying a word. That is influence. 3. Anchoring positive emotions. Anchor moments of laughter, joy, or agreement by using the same physical cues each time, like a touch on the arm, a specific hand gesture, or a smile. Later, when you use that cue again, it triggers the same emotion. It's subtle, but powerful. Salespeople use this, therapists use this, parents, leaders, even partners use this, whether they realize it or not. So ask yourself, what emotion do I want to be associated with? Use that state intentionally and anchor it physically. That's how people begin to feel good just by being near you. Making people feel seen. The secret to influence isn't power, it's presence. When someone feels truly seen, their defenses melt. Henrik explains 2 key ways to do this without saying a single word. 1. Eye contact. Not the creepy kind, not the intense stare, just steady, soft, confident eye contact. Look someone in the eyes when they speak. Let your attention say, "You matter, I'm listening." It's a rare feeling. That's why it's unforgettable. 2. Aligned posture. Face them fully, shoulders open, arms relaxed, no crossed legs, no turned away body language. You are with them, not against them. That alignment, physical and emotional, creates trust before you say anything at all. And once trust is there, influence flows naturally. Subtle persuasion techniques that actually work. Now let's talk techniques. Small, practical cues you can use in real time. These are science-backed, simple, and surprisingly effective. 1. Nod slowly while asking a question. Research shows people are more likely to agree when you nod slowly while speaking. It sends a subconscious message. Agreement is safe, agreement is expected. But keep it subtle. A forced nod looks fake. Think slow, sincere, and natural. 2. Use open palms. When you speak with your palms open and visible, it signals honesty and openness. People instinctively trust those who have nothing to hide. Contrast that with crossed arms, hidden hands, or fidgeting. Those signal insecurity or secrecy. So when in doubt, open posture, palms visible, chest relaxed. 3. Sit beside, not opposite, in conflict. This one is huge. When facing conflict, don't sit directly across from someone. That creates opposition. Instead, sit beside them, angled slightly forward. This shifts the dynamic from me versus you to us versus the problem. Try it during tense conversations, interviews, or negotiations. It may change the entire energy in the room. Influence is not control. Let's pause here and draw a clear line. What Henrik Fexeus teaches is not about manipulation. It's not about tricking people or controlling them. It's about connecting with people on a deeper level. Yes, you're influencing their emotional state. Yes, you're guiding the interaction, but you're doing it with empathy, awareness, and intention. Ethical influence is based on mutual respect. It says, I see you, I understand you. Let's move forward together. The difference between ethical influence and dark psychology. So how do you know if you're using this knowledge ethically? Ask yourself, am I using this to create understanding or control? Am I respecting their free will or trying to override it? Is this about connection or dominance? When you influence someone to feel calmer, safer, more empowered, that's ethical. When you trick someone into doing something against their values, that's manipulation. One builds trust, the other breaks it. Henrik's work is rooted in the belief that communication is about clarity, not control. And influence, real influence, is not about getting your way. It's about helping others feel safe enough to join you. Final word, influence. Without words is the highest form of communication. The strongest people in the room don't need to speak loudly. They don't push. They pull with presence. They don't manipulate. They mirror. They don't shout to persuade. They simply show up fully and others follow. You now have tools that 99% of people overlook: mirroring, anchoring, nonverbal alignment, emotional listening, silent leadership. Use them wisely, use them gently, and watch your influence quietly transform every room you enter. Part 6. Detecting lies and deception. Have you ever suspected someone was lying to you, but you couldn't prove it? Their words made sense. Their face smiled, but something deep inside told you they weren't telling the truth. Welcome to the world of deception detection, the art of spotting lies without a single confession. And today, thanks to Henrik Fexeus, you're going to learn how to do just that. Let's bust the first lie about liars. Here's the biggest myth about lying. Liars always avoid eye contact. Wrong. In fact, skilled liars often do the opposite. They overcompensate. They lock eyes with you, trying too hard to appear sincere. Why? Because they know what you're looking for, and they fake it. So rule number 1, eye contact alone means nothing. To detect deception, you need a sharper lens. Let's build that lens together. What liars actually do. Lying is stressful. It creates internal conflict, and that stress leaks out through the body. Here are the key signs Henrik Fexeus teaches us to look for. 1. Changes in blink rate. When someone lies, their blink rate often increases, sometimes doubling or tripling. Why? Because lying triggers stress, and stress triggers the brain to blink more, lubricating the eyes during tension. Other times they might stare too long, barely blinking, to appear in control. Either way, sudden changes in blink pattern equals red flag. 2. Microexpressions of guilt or discomfort. Even the best liars can't control every muscle in their face. Microexpressions, those lightning-fast flashes of emotion, reveal the truth. Someone might say, "Of course I'm being honest," while flashing a brief moment of fear, guilt, or disgust. Pay attention to the corners of the mouth, the eyebrows, and the forehead. What do you feel before the words even register? That's often where the lie hides. 3. Inconsistent stories. One of the biggest giveaways? Details that don't add up. They say they left at 6 p.m., but earlier they said the traffic was heavy at 5. They mention a friend, but you remember they said they were alone. Liars struggle to keep their stories straight, especially under pressure. Don't just listen for lies, listen for cracks. 4th, breathing and sweating changes. Lying often causes subtle physiological shifts. Breathing becomes shallow or erratic. Shoulders rise slightly. A fine sheen of sweat appears, especially around the nose, forehead, or upper lip. Why? Because the nervous system knows they're violating trust, even if the mind is pretending everything's fine. These are the cues the body leaks when the words are lies. The golden rule: everyone lies differently. Here's something most people miss. There's no single behavior that means someone is lying. What matters is change from their baseline. That's why establishing someone's normal behavior is crucial. How do they speak when relaxed? What's their usual blink rate, tone, pace? Once you know their baseline, the deviation is what matters. That's when you can spot discomfort, stress, and internal conflict. Spotting the moment of discomfort. This is where the magic happens. When someone lies, there's usually a moment of hesitation, a flicker of something off. It could be a facial twitch, a glance away, a deep breath, a delayed response, a sudden tension in the jaw or neck. Learn to recognize this moment. That's often when the lie starts. Watch when they get uncomfortable, not just what they say. The 3-second rule. Henrik offers a powerful technique. If it takes longer than 3 seconds to answer a simple question, probe deeper. Why? Because the truth is instant. If I ask you your name, You don't need to think. But liars pause. They rehearse. They stall for time, just enough to invent a story that sounds believable. So next time someone delays, ask yourself, are they searching their memory or creating fiction? Other verbal cues to watch for. Words also betray liars. They might repeat your question before answering. Where was I? Where was I? Yeah, I was home. Use overly formal language to sound convincing. I categorically deny any wrongdoing. Deny emotions instead of facts. I swear I would never do that. I'm not that kind of person. Use distancing language. That woman instead of my girlfriend. Liars often try too hard to sound honest, and that's what gives them away. Mini practice. Spot the lie in action. Here's your challenge. Go online. Find interviews with people who were later proven to have lied. Politicians, celebrities, criminals. Watch their body language. Listen to how they speak. Then mute the video. Just watch the face and gestures. Do they overexpress? Are their smiles stiff or uneven? Does their tone match their words? This exercise will sharpen your inner radar faster than any book or lecture. Because the truth isn't just spoken, it's shown. Deception in everyday life. You don't have to be interrogating criminals to use this skill. Here's how it helps in real life. 1. In relationships. Notice when someone suddenly starts over-explaining, avoiding certain topics, or acting defensive without a reason. 2. In business, watch for clients or coworkers who shift behavior during negotiations or hide behind vague language. 3. In parenting. Children often show clear signs when they're hiding something. The trick is watching for changes in tone, behavior, and expressions, not just words. 4. In friendships. If someone becomes inconsistent in their stories, starts avoiding eye contact when discussing a subject, or delays their responses, you may be missing part of the picture. Final thought. Truth is felt before it's heard. Henrik Fexeus reminds us that detecting lies isn't about being cynical, it's about becoming aware. Because in life, deception isn't just about words, it's about energy, conflict, discomfort. And your job is to observe, not accuse, to notice, not judge. The better you understand human behavior, the less you'll be fooled by appearances. So take this power and use it wisely. Part 7. Practical applications for daily life. So far, you've learned how to observe what others miss, how to decode posture, expressions, tone, and even lies. But let's make it real, because knowledge only becomes power when it's applied. Today, we'll explore how to use these mind-reading skills in everyday life, in relationships, parenting, business, and beyond. This is where your transformation truly begins. 1. In dating. Reading interest, connection, or discomfort. Picture this. You're on a first date. They smile politely. They nod. They say the right things. But something feels off. With the skills you've learned from Henrik Fexeus, you no longer rely on what's said. You watch for what's shown. Are they leaning in slightly? That's interest. Are their feet pointing away from you? They may want to leave. Do their microexpressions flicker with tension when you mention your ex? Emotional discomfort. You're not guessing anymore. You're seeing reality before it becomes words. And most importantly, you can respond to that reality with empathy and confidence. Maybe they're nervous, not disinterested. Maybe they're intrigued, but shy. Now you know the difference and can steer the connection. This isn't manipulation, it's attunement. 2. In parenting. Understanding what your child can't say. Children don't always have the words to express themselves, but their behavior speaks volumes. Let's say your child says, "School was fine," but you notice they pause a second too long before answering. Their shoulders sag. They avoid eye contact. Their tone is flat or forced. Now, instead of taking fine at face value, you realize something's wrong. You dig deeper, gently. You say, "It's okay if something bothered you today. You don't have to tell me right now." This builds trust, safety, connection. Henrik Fexeus teaches that presence beats pressure, And reading your child's subtle signals helps you meet their emotional needs, not just their physical ones. The result? A stronger, more open relationship where your child feels understood. 3. In business, reading clients, customers, and partners. In business, the ability to read minds, not literally but behaviorally, is a game changer. Imagine you're pitching a client. You present your proposal and they say, "Sounds great," but they scratch their neck, shift in their seat, and suddenly speak faster. These aren't random quirks. They're signs of stress or uncertainty. So you pause. You address the unspoken. "I sense there's something you're unsure about. Want to walk through it again?" Now you've done what most people don't. You've listened with your eyes. You've given them the chance to express a doubt that would have otherwise killed the deal quietly. One executive Henrik worked with used this exact approach and saved a multi-million-dollar negotiation that was about to collapse due to silent resistance. That's the power of behavioral fluency. It builds trust, reveals hidden blocks, and turns maybe into yes. 4. In personal growth, becoming emotionally intelligent. Let's talk about you, not others. Reading minds isn't just about decoding them. It's about understanding how you respond to people's signals. When you learn to observe others' emotional states, you start noticing your own. You ask, "Why did I feel defensive just now? Why did that person's tone bother me? Am I reacting to what was said or how it was said?" This is emotional intelligence in motion, and it creates a ripple effect. You pause instead of snapping. You listen instead of assuming. You respond instead of reacting. You become the kind of person others feel safe around because you understand what they're feeling, even before they explain it. And that, my friend, is rare. 5. In social settings. Navigating awkwardness and group dynamics. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the tension? Maybe a group just had an argument. Maybe someone feels excluded. Maybe everyone's uncomfortable, but pretending not to be. With your new skills, you don't walk in blind anymore. You scan the room. Who's mirroring who? Who's not making eye contact? Who's unusually quiet or animated? You quickly sense who's feeling left out, who's trying to dominate, and who's genuinely at ease. Now you can adapt. You shift the topic to ease discomfort. You draw someone in who's being ignored. You de-escalate conflict before it starts. Suddenly, you're not just part of the group, you're subtly guiding it, and people feel it. They feel safer, more connected, and more seen because you're reading what they don't say. 6. Real-life case study, saving a deal with a blink. Let's end with a real story from Henrik's work. A corporate negotiator was close to signing a massive contract. The opposing team was nodding, agreeing, smiling. Everything looked perfect. But just before they finalized, the negotiator noticed something strange. One of the executives blinked rapidly, several times in a short burst. It lasted maybe 2 seconds. Most people wouldn't have noticed. But this negotiator had read Henrik Fexeus's work. He recognized the blink spike as a stress cue, possibly a last-minute objection. So instead of signing right away, he paused and asked, "Is there something you'd like to go over again?" The executive hesitated, then admitted he was unsure about a penalty clause. They rewrote one paragraph, and the deal closed stronger than before. One blink saved a deal worth millions. Reading minds isn't magic. It's not mind games. It's not control. It's awareness, compassion, precision, power, and it can change everything from how you love, lead, listen, and live. Part 8, developing your inner mind reader. Reading minds is not a party trick. It's not about being a magician or having supernatural powers. It's a skill, a finely tuned ability to understand others by paying close attention to the right signals. And like any skill, it can be learned, refined, and mastered through practice. If you've come this far, you've already unlocked powerful tools. How to read body language, detect microexpressions, listen beyond words, and spot deception. But knowing these tools is not enough. To truly transform your perception, you must turn these lessons into habits. Let's start with the most important habit of all, the observation ritual. Every single day, you have dozens of opportunities to read people. You see them at work, on the street, in cafes, on your screen. Don't let these moments pass by passively. The observation ritual means making a conscious decision to watch, really watch, how people move, speak, react, and shift. You don't need a lab or a special setting. Your training ground is everywhere. At the coffee shop, observe the barista. Does she lean in when talking to certain customers and step back from others? Why? On public transport, notice how people position their bodies. Who avoids eye contact? Who mirrors gestures without knowing it? At home, study your family. What is their baseline behavior? How do they change when they're tired, stressed, or excited? Start doing this regularly and you'll be shocked by how much you've been missing. Next, start a journal. Don't just observe, record. Each day, jot down your experiences. What did you see? What subtle cues stood out? Did someone seem nervous, confident, annoyed, excited? Then, just as important, write how you responded. Did you adjust your tone? Ask a clarifying question? Offer support before they even said they needed it? And finally, reflect. Were your impressions correct? Maybe someone looked uncomfortable and later confirmed they were having a rough day. Maybe you sensed tension in a conversation and it turned out there was conflict brewing. Even if you're wrong sometimes, that's part of the training. Each entry builds your intuition. Now let's look at some daily exercises to sharpen your inner mind reader. 1. Body language analysis. Pick one person each day, someone you know or a stranger, and scan their entire posture. Start from the ground up. Are their feet planted firmly or pointed toward the exit? Are their shoulders relaxed or raised? Do they gesture freely or keep their hands hidden? Are they mirroring the person they're talking to? Ask yourself, what's their emotional state? What are they trying to communicate without saying a word? Second mirror, microexpressions. Microexpressions happen so quickly that they're easy to miss, but your brain can be trained to catch them by practicing them yourself. Stand in front of a mirror and practice the 7 universal emotions: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust, contempt. Then try flashing them for less than a second. See if you can replicate the intensity of real emotion in just a moment. The more you do this, the faster your brain will recognize these cues in others. Third, silent empathy practice. Once a day, choose a moment to simply watch someone without judging or interrupting. No talking, no analyzing, just observation with empathy. What are they feeling right now? Are their movements calm or restless? Do they seem open or withdrawn? Your goal isn't to label, it's to feel what they feel silently. This exercise builds not just observational skill, but human connection. Over time, these habits transform you. You stop reacting to words alone. You start picking up on what others miss. You become the kind of person who notices when someone needs help before they ask, who senses discomfort behind a smile, who feels the truth even when it's unspoken. That's what a mind reader really is. Not a manipulator, but a deep observer, a quiet guide, a master of presence. It's a journey of growth, of compassion, of clarity. So go out into the world and practice. Every person you meet is a chance to learn. Every glance, every gesture, every silence is a page in the human story, waiting for someone to read it. Let that reader be you. Part 9. Final thoughts and challenge to the viewer. You've made it. You've taken a journey in a world that most people never even realize exists. The world beneath the words, where true thoughts, feelings, and intentions live. The world of mind reading, not the magical kind, but the powerful, real, human kind. Let's take a moment to reflect on the power you've just unlocked. You now understand that every person, no matter how guarded, leaks signals about what's happening inside them. Their posture, facial expressions, tone of voice, word choices, even their silences. These are all part of a language that's always being spoken, but rarely heard. You've learned how to decode it. You can now understand people on a much deeper level, communicate with empathy, not just accuracy, influence situations without force, simply through awareness, and most importantly, protect yourself from those who try to manipulate or deceive. This is a life-changing skill, not because it makes you better than others, but because it helps you connect with them more truthfully. With this knowledge, you can repair relationships, build trust faster, detect lies before they harm you, and influence others in a way that feels genuine, not pushy. As Henrik Fexeus writes, every person is an open book if you know how to read the language. And now, you do. But here's the truth. Understanding this mentally is one thing. Living it is another. So I want to leave you with a challenge. For the next 7 days, observe before you react. Every time you talk to someone, ask yourself, what do their eyes say? How are they positioned, open or closed? What is their voice doing when they speak? Are they aligned with their word or contradicting them? And write it down. Each night, journal. What did I observe today? What did I sense beneath the surface? What did I do differently because of what I noticed? Do this for 7 days, and I promise you'll start seeing the world differently. You'll pick up signals others miss. You'll connect in ways that feel deeper, realer, more alive. Because the truth is, most people walk through life half blind. But not you, not anymore. You've been given a map, a decoder ring, a quiet superpower. Now it's up to you to use it. If this message resonated with you, if you feel like you've just discovered a tool that could genuinely change how you move through the world, subscribe for more insights like this. We're building a community of people who want to master the art of human connection, not through manipulation, but through understanding. Comment below. What's one moment in your life where this skill could have helped you? A misread situation, a conversation that went sideways, a person you misunderstood, or who misunderstood you. And lastly, share this video with someone who struggles with reading people, someone who feels lost in social situations, or someone who wants to get better at navigating the messy, beautiful complexity of human relationships. Because the more of us who learn to read minds this way, not through magic, but through empathy and attention, the better our world becomes. Now go, observe, connect, understand. The language is there. The book is open. Read it. Let's close this journey with some powerful truths, a few myths busted, and timeless quotes from the art of reading minds that deserve a closer look. Whether you're rewatching for clarity or reflecting on your growth, this bonus section ties it all together. Myth 1. Crossed arms always means someone is closed off or defensive. False. This is probably the most repeated myth in body language, and one of the most misunderstood. Yes, crossed arms can signal defensiveness, but only in context. People also cross their arms when they're cold, when they're comfortable, or simply when they don't know what to do with their hands. Henrik Fexeus teaches that no single body language cue should ever be read in isolation. Always look for clusters of behavior. Crossed arms plus tight lips, plus turned away feet. That's a stronger sign of discomfort. But crossed arms with relaxed shoulders and a smile, that might just be comfort. Lesson: always combine signals and compare them to a person's baseline behavior. Myth 2. If someone avoids eye contact, they're lying. Not necessarily. Some people are shy. Some were raised in cultures where eye contact is considered disrespectful. And some neurodivergent individuals may find prolonged eye contact uncomfortable or overstimulating. Real deception often looks different. In fact, skilled liars tend to make too much eye contact, overcompensating in an attempt to seem honest. Instead of just tracking eye movement, focus on changes in eye behavior compared to their norm. Are they suddenly blinking rapidly? Do their pupils dilate? Do their eyes dart away during specific questions? Henrik's insight: it's not the eyes that lie. It's the sudden shift in behavior that betrays the truth. Myth 3. Reading body language is manipulative. Completely wrong. Reading body language, tone, and emotion is about understanding, not controlling. It's about creating better human interactions, more truthful, more connected, and more empathetic. Manipulation starts when we ignore the other person's boundaries or use our insight to deceive. But ethical mind reading is about aligning with others, not tricking them. Truth. Real influence is rooted in connection, not control. Book quote breakdown: what they mean and why they matter. Let's look at a few standout quotes from The Art of Reading Minds and unpack the wisdom behind them. We all leak information constantly. The question is whether you're paying attention. This quote is the heart of the book. People don't hide their emotions nearly as well as they think. They fidget, they blink, they smile a millisecond too late. They change the pitch of their voice. Most people walk through life missing 90% of these signs, but once you start observing consciously, you become fluent in a language that most have never learned to read. You don't need to know what someone is thinking. You only need to understand what they're feeling. Mind reading isn't about predicting exact thoughts. That's unrealistic and unnecessary. The real power lies in understanding emotions, because emotions drive behavior. If you know someone is nervous, frustrated, excited, or disinterested, you can adjust how you speak, when you speak, and what you say. This emotional insight changes everything, from relationships to negotiations. If you want someone to listen, make them feel seen. This is where empathy meets influence. People rarely change their minds when they feel judged, but they open up when they feel understood. Using subtle cues, mirroring posture, aligning your tone, maintaining soft eye contact, tell someone without words, "I see you, I get you." That kind of connection is powerful. Truth. The best communicators aren't loud. They're observant. Bonus practice prompts for continued growth. Watch an interview on mute. Can you guess the emotional dynamics based solely on gestures, posture, and expressions? Revisit old texts or emails. Is there vagueness or contradiction in tone? What words reveal hesitation or confidence? Observe your own reactions. Do you cross your arms when uncomfortable? Do you fake smile? Your own body is a book too. Read it. Final viewer challenge. If you've made it this far, pick one person in your life. Could be a friend, partner, co-worker, or even a stranger you see often. For 1 week, observe them deeply. What is their baseline behavior? What do they do when excited or stressed? How do their expressions change in subtle ways? How can you connect with them more authentically? Write your findings. Don't confront. Just understand. You'll be amazed at how much you already know and how much more you can know. And if you'd like a follow-up video where we answer your questions, break down your real-life scenarios, or even analyze clips of body language together, drop a comment. This community thrives when we learn together. Until then, remember, every interaction is a conversation beneath the surface. You now have the tools to listen,